Everyone, it's Kelli Folsom here, and welcome back to another Vital Art session. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to paint this glass bottle. I've also put in some additional subject matter, some lemons and leaves, so that you can be able to turn this into more of a work of art rather than just a study of a glass bottle. But the specific focus is on the glass bottles. So let's dive in and get started. Okay, so in today's lesson, we are specifically discussing how to paint this beautiful glass bottle with a stamp on it. The stamp says Provence. But the specific topic is how do you make glass? How do you paint glass? Or make paint that looks like glass. All right, so you can see I've already got a rough estimate of my drawing in. I've also put some other subject matter in here for you. So I do have, you know, my rough drawing of that in, as well as my shadow shapes on the lemon. You notice there are no shadow shapes on the glass. So that is the very first thing that you want to recognize, is that glass being a transparent object, you're not going to have shadow shapes on it. And then the very first thing I want to do is get context for the glass. So if I don't have any background color in, and I'll tell you what this color mixture is, but I need to have background color in because the glass is really just basically a lighter, lighter version of whatever is behind it. Okay, so I'm using black, ultramarine blue, some Naples yellow deep. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And however dark, if I wanted more blue, I could do that, add more blue in, which might be nice with the yellow and then sort of that red-orange in the stamp on the bottle. I'm also painting with some synthetics today, synthetic flats, just to kind of show you how, just changing up your brush can change the look of the painting. So let's say, for example, if you didn't want to use that colorful of a background, you could just use black, black and Naples yellow and a little bit of white, and you'll get more of a gray version. So it really just depends on what you like. Try to get the value in the range that you want. Want it to be not too dark, not too light, in order for the bottle to show up as being lighter. Then the background. But I thought a little hint of that green would be a nice color. So whatever your gut says to try, or you think, oh, those colors might look really good together, go ahead and try that. And then you can always, kind of adjust it later on if need be, and change it. So what I can do already is just kind of walk in like a little bit lighter version of this background color into the glass, since I know that I'm really looking at this edge where this meets the background. I know that it needs to be lighter, but somewhat related to that background color. And some glass has a little bit of a local color to it. This one doesn't really have very much, but some glass, you'll have a lot of that sort of a greenish tint to it, or a different local color. I'm going to you could see how the synthetic flats just kind of lay paint down very flat, so I'm kind of not liking that look, so I'm kind of scrubbing up some of the paint, maybe using more of the side of the brush to make it not look so uniform. So whatever materials you use, just kind of watch that. Do you like that look? Do you like how it makes the paint look on the surface? So we need a shadow version over here. Maybe put some yellow ochre in that just to kind of keep it in a similar family. But some ultramarine blue, yellow ochre. Just need to establish a little bit darker value there. I kind of like it when some of this warm stuff, some of that burnt umber kind of shows through. And maybe I'll pull, actually maybe I'll pull some of that over here so that this side's dark against light and then this side's light against dark. Oops. So anyway, so that's your first job, is to get some kind of background material in, and then because that's really, it really doesn't have a local color of its own, unless you're dealing with, like, let's say like a cobalt blue glass, or I have some red glasses, some amber colored, glasses, and in that case they do have a darker value and a local color. Okay, so just kind of trying to carve out where part of that cork is going to be. And then there is some dark in here, so that starting edge is still lighter, but then there's a little piece of a darker note here. So then what I would start to do is look for things like that. Usually kind of like a grape, some like here, some of this goes a little bit darker on the side. Usually the starting edge, the left-hand side has some more dark showing through. They're still lighter than the background though, so, maybe mix it in a bit. And then the next thing that will, just like a grape as well, the next thing that will immediately make it look glass-like would be to get the highlight on. So I see painting glass very similar to painting a grape. They're just, different colors or different values, but they're quite similar. All right, and then I've already got my cast shadow kind of down here. I could, reinforce that a bit and maybe put in some blue. Okay, the next thing is going to be that, of course, we're going to have some of that yellow from the lemons sort of bouncing into there, and on this side as well. Now, generally, you also have another effect that happens just like a grape, where the glass gets even lighter on this side because light is passing through it. So you generally have a little more light here. And I would say also, like a grape, usually, you know how the grapes have a little bit of dusting on top of the on top of the grape. You could do the same thing with glass, so a little more opacity, a little more white in that mixture. Especially on this top plane. This is a plane that would be collecting dust, if this was sitting on the shelf. This would be the plane that would catch dust. And the plane that would get more light. So you can see how by putting in some of these pieces of light on the top plane, how it starts to bring more structure. There's some sort of showing up on that back edge, a little bit stronger. You're not going to see it so much here on the perpendicular planes. All right. Some of the tabletop color might just get like a warmer brown type version for in here, because I don't really have tabletop color in yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be something in this warm family. So the bottom of the glass is a little thicker, but still you would be seeing some tabletop color, as well as, let's say, reflection of the tabletop here in the base of the glass. And then right here, the thicker part of the glass, grab a little bit of phthalo for this. So this is where some of that local color of the glass, sort of that really turquoisey green color, starts to show up here in the base. I'm seeing it quite a bit here. It's funny too, because I painted this in a different setup at the last workshop in Oklahoma, and I actually saw a lot of this green, and today in this setting or with this lighting, not seeing quite so much. So you could push that more, but generally, again, it's on that the lighter, glowier colors are going to be on that right-hand side. You know, this is reflection from the lemon, this lemon bouncing back into that, so it's not really light passing through. Otherwise, that would not be there at all, of course. This side would still be lighter, though, regardless if the lemon was there or not. And I might put in just a little bit stronger lemon color. All right, so, and one reason why I did want to use flats is to talk about, also, this is kind of a side note, I guess, since the primary focus is supposed to be on the glass, but I did think it would be nice to illustrate to you how, let's say if you were painting something like these lemons in a flash, like this, the quickest way to tell the viewer their structure in a short amount of time is by painting their flat planes, right? So they're almost like little hexagons. So just by changing the brush stroke, you know, and then on this side we'll get a little bit darker and warmer, less lit up. This side's less facing the light, but the flats are almost, you know, this bright. This is actually a bright, not a flat. It's almost a perfect shape for describing the form of those lemons. And I'm going to dull this down a little bit as we turn into shadow. But let's say if you're trying to paint something quickly, as this case is, it's real easy to go to green on lemon, so I'm going to add back in some orange to keep that nice and warm. Anyhow, you know, I hope that that would give you an idea, and then see where this stroke and that stroke meet. That's where your highlight falls. So it's, you know, the shape of this lemon is really like a, I guess it would be a stop sign. All right, let's throw in some kind of warm tabletop color there, just to get some context. You always want this back edge to be a little bit blurry, you know, maybe not super crisp. Okay, so that back horizon line. Just want to kind of finish this out a bit so that we could do the label. If I have something on my palette that's very, I've already got it mixed up, and perhaps it's very close to another color that I need, you could adjust it a little bit if you want to, but actually I feel like that will work. It's not the exact color I'm seeing. The cork in the bottle is actually just more neutral, not quite so much color, but I think this is kind of nice for continuity. Okay, then you're going to see the cork show through. So it's going to go a little bit darker, especially here where the glass is really thick. A little darker even still. And I'm going to still some of this to just get the drawing better on the inside of this cork. Needs to go a little bit darker here to frame out the cork a bit more clearly. Okay. Whoopsie. Whoops-a-daisy. Okay, it is. So usually that would work with my filberts, but like I say, sometimes it's an adjustment for me to switch to these types of brushes, but I think it's nice to show you variety if possible. Like pickup sticks here, man. Okay, so you know, when I did that, I kind of lost this side of the drawing. But that's painting, you know, back and forth, and until you get it the way that you want it. And it's essential to get it the way that you want it by making brush strokes. So, and that will also train you if you get in the habit of making specific brush strokes, you know, one stroke, which is also the nice thing about flats, is it does kind of, it's kind of harder, I think, to blend with flats, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. Anyhow, but it does get you in the habit of using specific brush strokes, and that's really a good skill set to build. It's just a sort of a muscle to build. And then we need a highlight on the front here, and a highlight on, I kind of lost this one a bit. And now that I'm looking at this, this is up a little bit high. Always, the highlight should be a little bit lower than the shoulders. You know, if this is an ellipse and it's below my eye level, so if this bottle was above my eye level, then the highlight would be above. Okay, and then, oh, let me go ahead and just put in some color here. Continuing to think about planes. This is now, this lemon is in profile facing me. So this plane is actually probably warmer than that side plane. And this is over on the shadow side of the setup. So only, you know, this top plane might go a little bit lighter, a little bit cooler. And again, think about, you know, this is this angle here, then it changes angles. So another reason why those flats can be useful to get you thinking in terms of plane changes, rather than thinking of everything as rounded. Okay, so the label. I really can't speak in French well, but the label something. Okay. So when I kind of squint down and look at this label, it's primarily mostly in this red family, and then there's some lighter parts. So I think it would be better to paint it primarily that first. Now the other thing, the first, actually the most important thing you want to consider is the drawing and how the stamp on the bottle curves with the curve of the bottle. Now the sides go straight down, straight up and down, no curve. But here, this curves with the ellipse, and so does this one, like it follows this curve, right? So you can kind of mark it out if you want to. And then I'm not going to be too picky about this, because we've got, you know, sort of this creamy ivory color, then we've got the red color. So, you know, I've kind of got the red here and then the yellow here. Just throwing some white into it. Now this top edge, you want that to be relatively crisp. It's sitting on top of the glass. So that, again, those starting edges here, here, here. Careful, because sometimes you could just drag paint off. Here. Now we're talking. And here. Okay. So softer edges can be on the inside, but here that label is on top of the other, the glass. So you need to show dimension. So hard edge shows that something new is, a new form is beginning. Now this side, this is turning away on the right hand side, right? Much like our shadow planes on the lemons. Fun, fun, fun. Should be a little darker, warmer. So grabbing some of my red, my orange, muting a little bit with that blue-green right there next to it. And we even have some yellow of the lemon bouncing back. Oh, damn. Oops. So I accidentally picked up some red oxide, which may not be terrible, but that piece in particular was a little too dark. Okay, I've kind of lost my curve down here, so I need to get that back. First, though, darn, let's see. First, I want to get some more yellow for the reflection into the stamp. I mean, subtle little things like this that you may really have to look to see it, but basically I just know that that would happen because this side plane is facing the lemon. So I know that even the stamp is going to pick up some of that glow. Kind of want to get some more of this red in here. And you know, y'all could go full blown and do the letters and all that jazz and the, you know, the price and all of that that's on there too. But yeah, I think some more of that stronger red. Then I need to bring back sort of a cooler, it's kind of just a cool gray, taking some of my background color with some of the ivory color down here to get the bottom of the stamp. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch to my filbert now though, because I want to put in that, you know, I like this curve here, and that's just going to be too difficult for me to do with that big flat. Ooh, I need even a smaller brush. Well, that's the best I can do with this size. Okay, the little numbers there. Okay, so, and then I've kind of lost the base of the glass a little bit. I'm going to bring back in sort of a darker blue-green, very, very similar to that background color. Let's get that reestablished there. A lot of times I have to reestablish my cast shadows and just adjust the drawing as needed. Okay. And of course, I know that, you know, just what would really help the cause is just to kind of soften this edge and put in some background color. Remembering that the color of the background is basically the color of space, the color of my air. So, and then that will help the form turn more. Speaking of form, reflected light is always nice to flesh out the form in the shadow. I kind of lost this whenever I was messing with the stamp. Maybe actually we could let more of that spill out. Look to see where the reflected light is perhaps stronger or sharper. Like here, closer to the lemon, it's a little bit sharper and cleaner. And then compare the color too, like when I compare the actual color of the lemon to the reflected light almost has a little more coolness to it, like a little blue. So it's a pretty subtle thing, but always be comparing, you know, colors that are similar. Try to see how they might be just slightly, subtly different. Okay, so y'all could finish by putting in your leaves. The Prussian would be a good way, or Phthalo would be a good way to go for this color of leaves, because it's more of that blue-green color. And then whatever you do there is a leaf that's kind of showing through. It'll be a little more quieter color, but you know, and kind of keep all this kind of fuzzy, just like looking through a glass or looking through a shower curtain, you know, a clear shower curtain where everything just gets a little bit fuzzier. So that's the effect that we want. We want what's outside the glass to be more clear, more visible to us, and what's inside the glass to be, you know, a little unclear, less clear. Okay, so good luck everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson.